And welcome back to Subculture on centralcoastradio.com. Well, now we're going to take a look at a new theatre production that is happening in Gippsland and Melbourne in Victoria. It's the modern day retake of David Williamson's The Perfectionist, and it's directed by Jacqueline Stewart. Now, as Jacqueline said last week on our show, she wanted to take Williamson's famous play and update it for a modern day audience. And she does that by placing the lead characters, Barbara, played by Rebecca Carton, and Stuart, played by Benjamin Newell, into a modern day kind of setting. Now, the couple have been married for a while. They've got some kids when Stuart decides to take a job for 6 months in Denmark. The family moved there, and it's during that move that Barbara realizes that she's basically put her whole life on hold for Stuart with his work and for him to write his thesis, something that he believes is going to make him kind of famous. Now, while they're in Denmark, Barbara decides that she wants some time for herself as well, away from the family, and that leads them to hiring Danish babysitter Eric, played by Ryan Tracy, who has very strong political views, and although he seems a little bit free-spirited, seems to be held back a little bit by his strong views. Now, hiring Eric also exposes other cracks in their marriage, and Barbara starts to think that perhaps this is the time that they start to follow the rules of a book that she has read called The Open Marriage, which starts to shake things up for them both. Lee, this is a pretty powerful production that goes into some pretty deep topics. What did you think of The Perfectionist?
Yeah, I think that it represents many families that have gone through the challenges of should the woman be at home with the children, what are the expectations of her role, is she happy with that role, is she not, of course loves her children, but also has aspirations herself of being a professional and wanting to have achievements outside of the home as well. And then also looking at the opposite view of the role of the man in the home and what that represents. And, you know, should he be helping with housework? Should he be helping with with things outside of being the breadwinner. So I think it could be a touchy subject for some families watching this, because depending on your culture and your traditions and your morals and values and the way your family is set up, it could bring some challenges. And I think the play's done really well to make you think of all sides. And then you've got additional challenges in there, such as, you know, if you're faithful to your partner, what happens if you're not? What effect does that have on your marriage? And, you know, is that okay to have an open marriage, which, you know, it makes you sit uncomfortably with that, especially if you don't agree that that's okay. So I think the performances were brilliant. I think that, yeah, these actors are top quality and they bring their own stories in and really represent people in the community that are really going through these things. I really thought that the character of Barbara was played exceptionally well. There's a lot of dialogue in this play. I think it was 2.5 hours with the inclusion of an intermission, which was, I think, about 20 minutes. Yes, some really long scenes with a lot of heavy dialogue. There's some narration in there. And then there's some little comical lines throughout the play. I particularly liked the role played by Sharon Haywood, who plays Shirley. Now, her character unfortunately has an addiction, and so you see, you know, what an addiction can do to someone's life, but maybe where it stemmed from too. Why are people happy in their lives? Why are they not happy in their lives? Have they been blaming others for that unhappiness? Did they actually make choices in their life that made them unhappy, and they've got to actually accept some responsibility for that. There's domineering father, played by Amir. I'm sorry, can you help me with the last name?
Rahim Zadar.
Yes. And his character of Jack, and he's quite a domineering character as a father and even a husband. And you see how there might be some changes in time, but how that then has affected his child growing up, and how then the character of Stuart can be quite domineering towards his family and have expectations that might be quite unfair to have. So overall, I think this brings to the surface things that should be spoken about in society, and we're in a world where we expect there to be equality between males and females, especially in the kind of nuclear family home, for those that have chosen that path. And yeah, I thought it was engaging, and it kept you intrigued and wanting to know more about the characters. But there was also that wanting to see characters to make good choices, because I felt like there were so many bad choices that characters had made for their lives, and it showed the outcomes of those bad choices.
Yeah, it was interesting, especially like you said, the inclusion of the people playing Jack and Shirley, because of course I've only ever seen Amir and Sharon do comedy. I saw them, of course, in their show Don't Trust Me, I'm a Dentist, and also Moon and Keith, Your Shit Life. So seeing them have a more serious role like this was really, really interesting, especially Sharon, because she had to mix drama and comedy a little bit as well. Yeah. She probably had the laughs of the production, but seeing Amir play Jack, who's kind of a dominating, chauvinistic kind of character, that was really interesting. I thought he played that role really well. I also think Rebecca Carton and Benjamin Newell were absolutely fantastic in this as well. Yeah. And as normal, it's hard to criticize a Williamson screenplay or theatre script, because he's such a powerful writer, and there's multiple layers to this as well. Like, I didn't want to go into spoiler territory, but the second half of this play kind of flips things around as well, where Barbara is given the freedom to go back to work and to do her thesis, while Stuart plays more of a role at home, and that doesn't exactly go well either. So
no,
yeah,
lots of challenges, and it's not there's not necessarily a lot of happy outcomes in this play, but it is just dealing with real life, and as I said, the outcomes of choices made in your life, and I think it just also highlights, make sure if you choose to get married, like, make sure you know that person, what they stand for, and if you can live a life with that for the rest of your life.
And that's something that David Williamson has discussed in a few of his plays, where it's kind of that theme of you think the grass is greener on the other side until you get to the other side. So, it's something that he's done well. And I actually thought that Jacqueline Stewart had done a great job bringing this into modern society as well, because I believe the original of this might have been set in the 60s or the 70s. So it was brought way forward. And, there was exceptional directing from Jacqueline Stewart. The set design was minimal but serviceable.
Effective.
Yeah. Considering that it's basically told in 4 different locations as well. So that was done quite well with that. But look, if you want to go along and check out some really, really serious theatre, David Williamson's work being brought to light in a new and unique way, then definitely go and check out The Perfectionist. Like I said, it is on at a range of different places, including Bunjil Place in Narrawarren, and then it's going to Gippsland, and then it's going to St Kilda. So there's plenty of opportunities to go and see Cast Productions' version of David Williamson's The Perfectionist. Just check their website to see where it's going to be and when, and you can do that by going to www.castproductions.com You're on centralcoastradio.com.